Okay, here we go. Okay, so, and I will orient the screen so you can see this. Okay, so what we need to do, I just need to get up the aspect slides here, and there's a really nice one that you can refer to. That one of the other students, Tushita, told me it wasn't easily visible. So in the recorded lectures that you would have listened to, so it may be clearer on. Hopefully, it'll be clearer on these slides. Okay. So the key thing to look at to distinguish between the case of call and execute is this slide. Okay. These are illustrating join points. Remember, when we're dealing with aspects and AspectJ by extension, there's two concepts which can be easily confused. One is join points and one is point cuts. A point cut, so join points exist in your program, whether you're aware of them or not, whether you name them or not, they exist there. Point cuts name join points, okay? And they often do so with wildcards and so on, so they'll name a bunch of join points at once. What this is illustrating is join points in an underlying program. And you'll notice that it distinguishes the type of join points. And I want to draw attention to the case of particularly around here 8, okay? So in 8 we have a method main that is calling off to this thing example.func. It's a method call, and func is down here at the lower part of the screen, right? Down there, right? Okay. So here we're calling x.func. You'll notice that before the call at this place, there's a join point. This is a call type of one we'd intercept through point cut with a call, calling it a call, and this is before the call. Okay, note we're still in the main function here. We haven't yet entered func. So before call we haven't actually performed the call yet. Okay. We're still outside of the call. It's just about to execute the call. Now, when we execute the call, notice the one after the call is 13. Where did the ones in the middle go? 9, 10, 11, 12. Well, guess where they are? They're down here. Okay, they're inside this func. So before the call is actually before it takes place. You're still in main. And then when it actually calls func, now we're at the next join point, which is before execution. So this is actually execution of func here. See that? This is the execution. So the call, before call, occurs when you're outside of the call. You haven't actually entered into the thing being called yet. Execution, you're actually inside the call at func, okay? And then there'll be some code executed there. And then when you reach the end of the function, just before you leave the function, but you're still inside of it, and in concrete terms, its activation record is still on the call stack. It's still present. Then you have 12, which is after execution of that func, right? And then it goes back to 13, which is after call to that func. So the call sites are where the call is going to occur, but when those are triggered, you have not yet made the call, or you've actually come out of the call. Execution on a method, that's when you're actually inside of that method that's been called. So you can set a call point to indicate when you call func interrupt and have a before advice when I call func, and you'll be at 8 here, or you could have after advice 13. But if you actually do an execution of func, you will be at 9 for before or 12 for after. Do you see that? Yeah.
So can we just explain around here in this function?
An around advice?
Yeah.
Okay, an around advice would actually be, as I remember it, you're going to actually be around this call to x.func, okay?
It means before and after.
Well, you're inside, you're between 813 before it's taken place. You're around it. And the key thing that will give you is, I think it allows you two things, if memory serves me. One thing is, it allows you to choose to call it or not. And the second thing it gives you is, I think it gives you access to the return value.
Yep.
That if you call it, you can get the return value. But you could substitute something else. Instead of calling func, you could call bar there instead of func. Or you could call bar in addition to func or something like that. Or you could add to func's return value, you could add 3, which would be kind of strange, but you could do it. Okay? So an around gives you some control here. And I think I have an around in this somewhere. These were actually created by very. Okay. So this is actually after, and that's this humble. After. Okay, this is after the move. So I don't think that's yet.
Previous one.
Was it around here?
Yeah.
Around maybe before.
Was it
Single.
here?
No, there is a large around.
Here, you think?
After.
After? Again?
Here.
Yeah. Okay, good. Yeah, so okay. So here we are this is interesting. Right. So this is occurring at this point cut as specified by these conditions here. This is not a named point cut. This is like in our code earlier, we had a named point cut. We had a point cut that actually has a name associated with it, like set XY. It has these conditions and so on. Alternatively, you can specify, and then you'd have advice that's associated with that particular point cut. Alternatively, you can have advice, like this after or before. You can have that associated with kind of an unnamed point cut. This is just a point cut specified by criteria right here. So here, when we have a call to set X and as a target of a certain point, and this is the value passed to it, we are capturing around here. And so here we're proceeding on to call that target with this as the argument. And notice that this is, okay, I guess I'd have to check, but this enforce, I'm wondering, this is either double checking that it lies between these values, or it's actually limiting it so it's no less than min value, it's no more than max value. It actually sort of truncates its possible values and uses them. But here we're actually continuing on to what we were going to call with this proceed. And of course, we could have done many other things here. We could have logged it, we could have called it, and then we could have added its value to something else or put it in a database or what have you. Yeah. So that's around advice. It's sort of giving you this extra granularity. Or you could not proceed at all. Just omit the call. Under these conditions, maybe omit this call. Okay. Other questions? Alita, you haven't had a chance to ask much.
I don't. I just.
Yeah.
I don't have one.
Okay.
The first The first slide you showed me.
This first slide.
Yeah. All
Um,
the points.
this slide there.
Here.
Yeah.
So what's the difference with 10 and 11? It's before get and after get. So they are at about the same place.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good question. The deal is that you can intercept here not just calls, not just allocations of sort of objects and so on, but you can also capture get and set to functions here. So you'll notice there's a similar thing up here, an example, okay? And 4 and 5, this is before set, after set. So really, this is capturing the fact you're writing to this field, or here that you're reading from a field, an instance field. See that? And probably if I were doing this, Jiva created this, a wonderful grad student we had back in 2009. But I would probably put the 10 before the X and the 11 after. So it's just prior to reading the value of X, and then just after reading the value of X. It can allow you to sort of capture either of those places. And the same thing with just prior to writing to this.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
This makes sense. This is less obvious why you'd need both of those, you're saying?
Yeah.
Agreed. I'd have to stretch my thinking to think, why would you need it for get? You certainly need it for set, right? Because you want to be able to record what was his value before, and then maybe its value after, or something like that. You want to put it in a database, log it. With get,
Before getting, you are still using the previous things that you have.
well, I don't know. I mean, let me give two examples where I could see it as plausible. Number one, I think you may be able to, and this relates to one of these things here, and I'd have to review my, I won't try to get it, but I think with after get, I think you might be able to, I think you can get the value obtained. You actually obtained it, and now you got it, and you can actually add something to it, or something along those lines. Whereas before, that may not be available yet. The second thing is, there are certain cases. This is probably. If you're dealing with multi-threading, with multiple threads, maybe you want it to report just before and just after, make sure that no other threads have reached it in the meantime. Because with multi-threading, there's coordination issues. You don't want someone to be writing to it just as you're reading it. And so you might check some property that, there's no one, between that time before and after, there's no one else who's written to it during that time. Yeah. Okay, other questions? These are great questions. And I think the other graduate students, the other undergraduates, and people on the internet will be grateful for these questions. Yeah. Other questions? No? Okay. Okay. Well, no, it's great to be able to address these. Thank you very much. Good luck with that. And just let me do, if you do end up needing that extra time, please just keep me